and it's the way forward.
Okay. So let's get to some of the details. So we've established that we need security.
Definitely.
Right, for the protection of our homes, the property that we spend a lot of money on,
Definitely
and for
so.
our families as
Right.
well, to ensure peace of mind. So let's get specific. Let's deal with Windows maybe first.
Right.
First up,
Right.
what are the options that are available to someone? And you know, we have certain types of Windows now that are, what should I say, very pretty.
Right, yeah.
You know, we buy the windows, and as opposed to long ago where you had them opening and, you know, closing like that, you now have those lift-up windows, the French style, and all kinds of styles in windows. What must someone consider if you have that type of windows in terms of ensuring that you have proper?
First thing first is functionality. You want it to be visually pleasing, but it must be functional. It's pointless having a burglar proof or a burglar bar that cannot secure your premises. A lot of people find the actual burglar proof or the idea of it very distasteful.
Right.
But I mean, in 2015, there's so many different designs out there, and people can now also be creative. You could come forward with your own personal design. You could also browse the internet and come forward with something, a picture of some sort, and we try as much as possible to arrive at that particular destination with respect to your particular design.
Okay, so we're no longer talking the block.
No, not anymore. The thing about it, once again, it depends on what the individual wants. It must match their pocket and their budget. But I always say to my customers, your budget does not necessarily represent cheap and cheerful.
Okay.
Meaning you could get something visually pleasing, simple and elegant. We represent simple and elegant.
Okay.
We're not into the set of curves and twists and turns.
Right.
We're simple and elegant. And it gives the customer a chance to enjoy value for money.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, when you present a quotation for a particular project, the person may probably like your design or like your quality of work, but it comes down to the bottom line, is it affordable?
Okay, and so you're saying in terms of design, there's greater flexibility now in
Definitely,
terms of what
definitely.
you can choose.
Definitely.
And there's no standard, so it's whatever you can create.
There is a standard, because at the end of the day, it's basic sort of foolproof things you look for. Someone's hand not being able to get in.
Okay.
If you're dealing with a child, the head, the average size of a baby head mustn't be able to go through. So there are size constraints with respect to your how the spacing of your bars.
Right.
Meaning how intermittent are they? But once again, someone will say to you, sometimes a customer comes forward, they say, listen, Rojas, I do not want too many bars, so space them up, but what's the point? You space the bar and a man could go through.
Right.
So it's mission not accomplished.
So sizing is important.
It
you know,
is.
I just had a little chuckle to myself because I had a visual image of a puppy that I have.
Right.
Who I had some regular BRC kind of thing.
Right.
And he would constantly stick his head through the burglar proofing and get stuck there. And it was so since you mentioned, you know, sizing in terms of whether a child's head, you know, might be able to fit in there and get stuck, because all kinds of scenarios play out there. But what are the critical factors that someone must consider in selecting what type of burglar proofing that I put on my window in terms of choice of material, but also design? What are the critical things one must consider?
You just hit the nail on the head with respect to how I approach the project. Material selection is key. Tobago is a sea blast infested environment, and the average generic mild steel doesn't last. So you spend thousands of dollars on a particular metal project and you don't get value for money. Not that the fabricator has not given you his best, but the environment, the atmosphere has defeated the purpose.
Okay.
So we here at Rojas Engineering Limited, we promote the use of stainless steel and aluminium. It's more rust.
Okay. And what lifespan you get from that?
Well, that is relative. Meaning the stainless steel, you almost sort of could get a lifetime guarantee. But we in Tobago and Trinidad, by extension, we do not implement a maintenance program. We think that things should take care of themselves. It doesn't work like that. A car, a vehicle, you have to service it, you have to treat it with some level of respect.
Right.
You have to also put in the right form of fuel, and you have to employ a maintenance program to enjoy the vehicle.
Okay.
But we do not employ that same sort of approach to a lot of things in life.
Okay, so you're saying once I install, what kind of maintenance is required?
The stainless steel.
So I've selected stainless steel
Okay.
or aluminum, which
Right,
you're
there you
saying
go.
are the two preferred ones.
Right.
And I've installed it, let's say now. What else do I need to do with it? Doesn't it just stay there?
No. There are abrasive pads on the market where you need to like constantly rub the material. It takes minutes. Or there are stainless steel sprays or little oils or grease-based sort of products. Not one to give away too much information. That we use to keep the material in
Okay, but you're saying
condition.
there are things out there.
Definitely.
So it's not just a one-time install and done.
No, not at all.
So you need to do that. In terms of this size, this spacing, what would you say is probably recommended? Given I've seen videos of people getting through bathroom windows, very small. What would you say?
All right, for me to give you a off the top of my head a documented size, there are sizes out there. Right. But as I said before, it's a personal take.
Okay.
Too much is better than too little. And that's the approach.
All right. Okay.
And that's the information I will divulge to the public. Too much is better than too little.
Okay, good. So you're saying take everything into consideration.
That's right.
When you're selecting. Anything else as it relates to windows and burglar proofing at windows that you're thinking people should consider? Yeah,
quite obviously. If you're burglar proofing a room, have one of the windows opening so you can have some form of access if a fire would break out. You need to have some form of evacuation plan in place. People think that only public utilized buildings that will have an evacuation plan.
Okay.
You need to have that in place. And
when you say one of the windows opening, what do you mean?
Right, so you have a situation where it's accessible, where it could open out, rather, so you can get out, as opposed to having a grill just bolted onto the wall and there is no access to outside. So you're keeping people from coming in, but in the event that you need to get out,
yes,
you're in a bit of a pickle and you cannot really, it makes no sense.
Okay, so with those kind of windows now that they have, that's very popular, where you slide them up.
Right.
How will burglar proofing cater for that, apart from being fixed totally? Is it adjustable? Does it move with the window?
All right, funny you should say that, because our company, we are developing a lot of products that will employ that sort of arrangement where the actual burglar will lift up and stay in position and come back down. Right. You can't get into that.
I know we can't get into the detail. But people, what we want persons viewing to know is that there are options.
Definitely.
And the options must be tied around your safety.
Definitely.
And so the considerations that you're saying is that you should have at least one of your windows in your whole evacuation plan being able to open freely.
I would say per room.
Per room?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you need to have a line of escape. Right. I mean, to be quite honest, the ideal situation is having all of them being able to open, because sometimes the one that you want to get out from or escape, that's the one in the building, so we have a problem. Yeah. So the more the merrier.
So, okay, so
you want to be able to satisfy people not be able to get in, but you being able to get out. So you have almost total control.
Right. So what's the consideration for that? Is it usually a matter of cost that people would opt to go for one that is fixed as opposed to one that is flexible?
Yes, because the design usually have a border, and you have a border in a border with respect to the material. So there's more material being used and more fixtures and fittings. So there's a cost attached to that. Right. And some people don't want to explore that. They will say, well, you know what, just put it up.
Just put it up, yeah.
And it's a hazard.
Right. Okay, apart from, I know this is not in the area definitely of burglar proofing, but is there any other thing, because since you're engineering services as well, that can offer some protection to people with those sliding adjustable windows that we know it's very easy to just force and open? Right. Is there anything now developing that should be able to assist people with securing that better?
The sliding window, the burglar proof will satisfy the sliding window, because remember, it comes off the wall. It is on the wall. So you even though you could sleep with your window open, the person can't get in.
Right.
Because it's there. Yeah. It's keeping the perpetrator from getting in. Okay. But you also want to be able to come out if need be.
All right, so let's go to the doors now. Tell me about doors. What do we need to consider? What's there? What are the options that are available to people?
Once again, me and my dad had a very in-depth conversation last afternoon concerning locks. The quality of locks. And I don't want to scare the average person in the street or the public. You can violate the lock. You can get in.
Right.
Because in my view, the locks are inferior.
And that's the standard locks that we have available
now. You see, we have moved from, once again, from functionality to something being visually pleasing. We had the tower bolt application where you will send this tower down and it will lock on and then you have a lock.
Right.
Now we have the lock box with the lock that will turn.
Yes.
Those locks, in my opinion, are not safe.
I agree with you totally.
Right.
You know, I picked a lock yesterday.
There you go.
Easily, and I didn't know it was so easy. You know, my kids locked the bathroom door.
Right.
And I couldn't get it open. And I decided, let me try, because I've seen people go and they push knives and things there and they try to open it. And I said, okay, well, let me try and see if I can open it.
That's right.
I did in less than 5 minutes.
There you go. So now you spend $1,000 on your project and it's not functioning.
Right.
What's the point?
Okay. So what options are available to people?
I am a fan of digital locks.
Digital.
And there's a reason for that. It can be reprogrammed. I can change the code every week. It's just flexible.
But dear, we have a lot of senior citizens who are not coping with this digital age. How do we get them? Is there something in there? You know, they are custom with their, you know, and their bunch of keys and their... How do we get them to transition? Have you considered any transitional thing to get to the level of
I mean, keep the numbers simple. A senior citizen will remember the date of birth or any part of it.
Okay.
But because remember, at the end of the day, a senior citizen will now have to reach into their pocket, get their keys, open a door. If someone is there waiting with evil intentions, it's too much time.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Right.
So this is just my personal take on it.
Yeah. That's what we're looking at today. So you're looking at not only the aspect of the security that the lock itself provides, but also the time delay in terms of opening and getting access to your property.
Because I mean, this is 2015. There are loads of different form of locking mechanisms on the market. You can make it. You spoil for choices.
Okay, and those things are available locally?
Well, the advantage of the internet. Well, the internet is there, and the thing about it is, the more you use stuff, the more the hardware will supply.
Okay.
Because as I said, back in the 80s, there was no lockbox.
Right.
You weren't using that, but we have evolved. So every hardware you go to, you could pick up a lockbox. As I say, I'm not a fan of it, but right about now, that's a fashionable thing.
Right.
Everyone seems to like it. And another thing with the locks that we use, we are using indoor locks outdoor.
Right. Okay.
That is not good. Okay. It cannot take the bombardment of the atmosphere, the elements.
Right.
So you may have your lock functioning probably for a month or two, and it starts to malfunction because quite obviously we live in a harsh environment.
Right. Okay.
So that's another thing probably the suppliers need to take into consideration, that you need to have different classifications of locks.
So when going to shop, viewers must ask and define where the door is located, whether it's an indoor, whether it's for outdoor purposes, in terms of selection.
Well, that's a good starting point, but you could ask, but if it's not available, what do you do?
Tell me.
What do you do? Because I'm not trying to campaign only for stainless steel, but a stainless steel lock would be more applicable outdoors.
Right.
It doesn't rust.
Okay.
But then again, there's also the concern of cost.
Right.
Are you willing to put your hand in your pocket and pay for a stainless steel lock as opposed to the normal, cheap and cheerful lock?
Well, I would like to say you're paying for safety and not paying for a lock.
But I agree.
Yeah, but there's also the consideration when you look at doors, whether you put the burglar proofing on the inside of the door or you put it on the outside of the door. What should be considered in making that decision?
Well, it depends on personal choice. I would say inside. And if I can remember clearly, my dad would say inside as well.
Okay.
But it depends on the classification or style of the burglar proof, because there's the Spanish burglar proof that needs to be mounted on the outside because of the sheer nature of it, the bulky nature of it.
Right.
It's mounted on the outside.
Okay.
But look at this. Back in the 80s, you would literally cement the burglar proof into the wall, as opposed to now you use anchor bolts.
Right.
And personally, I think putting it into the wall via cement is a lot. It's safer.
Okay.
As opposed to the bolts.
Okay. Yeah,
because exactly so. And the thing about it, we have the hollow clay blocks as well that pose a problem while assembling or mounting things on the wall.
Right. Okay.
Because the anchor bolts doesn't always perform the way they should. So there's a lot of compromise that probably the customer is not even aware of.
Right.
So you think you're safe, but you're not.
So are you saying, therefore, I'm wondering if even during the construction stages of my home, I need to begin to look at that
Definitely,
security
definitely,
in terms of my choice of material that I'm